Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Access of Trader.com weekend update show. Hope everybody is doing well. It is Saturday. It's actually not evening. It's Saturday, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Not sure why I said evening. Tomorrow, a big nor'easter supposedly hitting the northeast. Everybody stay safe. Make sure you have all the necessities that you need, water, food, and hopefully it will be minor or a lot of nothing. Guys, if you are brand new to the channel, thank you very much for tuning in, spending a couple of minutes with us, and hopefully I can point you in the right direction on a day-to-day basis based on data, not opinion, not hopes and dreams, not what we want to have to happen, but what the data is telling us. And the only thing I ask is if you could be so kind, take a tenth of a second out to click a like, support the channel. And again, hopefully I will do my best to point you in the right direction. All right. So since yesterday, after the close, I try to formulate my thoughts. I always try to look at the week, the good things, the bad things, the kind of irrelevant things, and, kind of formulate an opinion. And if nothing really stands out, move on to the next week, do my research for Monday and move along. However, you trade long enough, and I've been doing this right before 1999, you eventually run into historical sessions, right? Nothing was more historical than obviously 9/11. If you traded through 9/11, you know what happened. The markets got halted. The next, market was closed for a week. The market, opened up down 1,000 points. The Dow opened up down 1,000 points. And then the next day, we opened up another 1,000 points. And at that point, I had an office in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, generic trading, Carlin Equities office. That was my first prop office. And as you can imagine, we got murdered, right? Absolutely murdered, because everybody was long into 9/11, because again, we were coming off the tail end of the internet craze. People were still in denial. And as you can imagine, everybody went into my capital, right? Not a good day, as you can imagine. And then you have your other days. You remember the days that Bear Stearns went under, all these, historical days. I don't want to overly dramatize yesterday's session, okay? In case you were not trading, it's kind of hard to put into words exactly what happened. You have your obviously headlines, and in case again you weren't trading yesterday, everything was going good, right? Everything was going good. Another boring, lethargic day at stocks, melting up. Everything was great. Everything was fine. It was Friday, getting ready for the weekend. Pretty good week. You had the Tesla dumping every single day, and this, that, and the third, and it was good. And then all of a sudden, you get a post. I think it was from Truth Social. I think yesterday was just one big fog for me, so I'm just like off memory. You have a little bit of a post, a blip from Trump, and then like 2 hours later, right, you have an official statement from, I guess, the White House that the U.S. will impose 100% tariff on China starting November 1st. And as you can see here, again, this is a boring chart of the 60-minute view on the Qs. You can just see higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And then the news hits, and then you have it was the first blip, right? Here's your first blip. And then 2 hours later, it was destruction, absolutely destruction. If you look at the final numbers, the NASDAQ down 3.5%. This one candle, right? This one candle engulfed literally a month worth of buying. Apparently, it spilled over to the crypto space, right? Again, I don't follow the crypto space, but from what I understand, from what I read, $19 billion got wiped out from the crypto space on the Trump tariff. Shocking headline, the biggest single day loss in crypto history. So again, if you're in that market, what are you going to say? It's just horrible, right? It's horrible. The U.S. stock market lost $1 trillion in value. So overall, how can I say, it was a shitty day for investors, right? And I've always said this for years and years and years. Before you kind of dive into this trading thing, you got to figure out what you want to be. You want to be an investor, you want to be a day trader, you want to be, whatever it is, man. You got to figure out whatever it is. And, since April, we've been, melting up, melting up, melting up. And, going back to even the last video, I said, guys, just enjoy it. You just don't know when it's going to end, or you just don't know, right? It's been one of these biggest melt ups I can remember in a very long time. So you just enjoy it while it happens, while it's here in the moment. Okay. And, Friday happened, right? Friday happened. And, I've been saying this for years. I think it's very irresponsible. I don't care what your party allegiance is, whatever the case may be. I've said this countless times. I think it's very, very irresponsible for Fed governors, the White House, and anybody else that can move the needle in the market to have an opinion in the middle of the day. Okay. I just think it's very, very irresponsible because they know what's going to happen. Okay. You can't be that naive to think that whatever you're saying, depending how extreme the statement is not going to have an effect on the market, right? You just know that. So the idea that Fed governors speak all day, every day, right? In the middle of the day, in the beginning of the day, after hours, they get paid by the word. And the idea that Trump put out this statement in the middle of the day, come on, man, he's not a fool. I'm a Republican, guys. I'm a Republican. Let me just say that in case you haven't figured it out. Okay, I'm a Republican. I vote Republican down the line. So, but the idea that he made this statement in the middle of the day, you knew what was going to happen. You knew what was going to happen. And unfortunately, the investors paid a major, major tax, right? A major, major tax, absolute destruction in the equities market, in the crypto market. And, now the tariff thing that we thought was behind this is back, right? Is back. Now, again, you can look at it from the political side and say, well, this is just political banter, right? This is how we negotiate deals. But you're negotiating deals on investors' money, investors' savings, man. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. I don't care what political party you belong to. It's wrong. You can't put people's nest eggs at risk because of a negotiation ploy. Again, I don't care who you are, right? Who you are, what your allegiance is. It's just wrong. And unfortunately, the investors really got it, right? They really got it. And the ramifications were disgusting. And I read some things online. I don't even want to say it. What people unfortunately just couldn't deal with it, did to themselves. It was the most horrific thing I've ever seen, and may nobody ever be in that mental state of mind to be put in that situation. But it was terrible. It was terrible. From the trading aspect, look, I mean, what am I going to say? We were prepared for it. We talked about Tesla losing the 20-day moving average on Tuesday, Wednesday's video. We were prepared for that. We were prepared for Apple coming down out of the range. Did we get lucky? Yeah, we got lucky, man. What are you going to say? Somebody tweeted at me. He goes, oh, Tesla only went down. You only caught the trade on Tesla because, Trump. Yeah, okay. 2,000%. You're right. Okay, you're right. Right? What am I going to tell you? Right? You get lucky in this business, you get unlucky in this business. It happens to me all the time. I had a firm. I had a prop shop. Right? I had my first office in generic. Right? Planes hit the building. I was unlucky. Right? One day, I was shorting spies into a Fed cut. I was unlucky. Friday I got lucky. Right? So, look, it's not a point of what you did on Friday. It's not a point of how you tackled the environment on Friday. Again, nothing really rattles me. I was rattled, man. I was rattled. Therefore, 100%. I was in the middle of a bounce. Ironically, just to give you an example, I was in the middle of a Tesla bounce. We were all in the middle of a Tesla bounce. We were up like $1 and change. I was taking flow on the way up. And then the news hit. I get stopped out. As you can imagine, I got slippage all across the board, right? And then we started looking at downside channels. So the idea that, yeah, we got lucky and the severity had moved to the downside, sure, absolutely, 100%. But the point is, luck resides with those who are prepared. And if you were watching, the updates and you kind of, follow me on social media and you kind of know, I was watching the 20-day breakdown, 20-day breakdown, right here, 20-day breakdown for 4 days, right? And we finally got it. So, taking the trading aspect out of it, I've always said, folks, the past is the past. We can't change it. We don't live there anymore. The question is what happens next. Okay. At least we have now a recent history of how the market reacted to tariffs. Right. This is not the first sign of tariffs. We went through this tariffs anymore. So what are we expecting going into the Monday? Number one, right now it's noon on Saturday. Okay. We could have 2,000 different headlines come between now and Monday morning. And your guess is as good as mine what happens Monday at the open, right? Your guess is as good as mine, right? If there is absolutely nothing done, nothing accomplished, any type of negotiation started between China and the United States, do we have a heavy gap down on Monday? Sure, right? If they turn around and say, well, despite our disagreement and our inability to strike a deal, we are still very confident that we could come together and work things out. It's like nothing happens, right? The NASDAQ goes up, 1,000 points on that news. Okay. So we don't know where we're going to be on Monday. Okay. Your guess is as good as mine. So the idea that you can, make a watch list is ridiculous, is absolutely ridiculous, because based on what headlines or lack thereof, you're going to have the market jump in that direction. Okay. What I'm personally doing is I am literally only trading Tesla. Now, why am I only trading Tesla? Because again, you can't get creative in a fluid news cycle. Okay. You can't start looking at random stocks you've never traded before, the hot stock of the day. It's all nonsense. Okay. You need to find whatever stock you feel comfortable and trade that stock or just get the hell out of the way, right? It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of maturity. If you can't mentally at your stage of your career can't handle what's going on, that's okay, right? That's okay. That's a sign of maturity. It's not a sign of weakness. Stay on the sidelines, right? What we are going to expect is a lot of volatility, right? A lot of volatility, both up and down. You're going to have an headline-driven market going nonstop. But again, we've lived through this already, and it's gonna be here for about 4 or 5 days of aggressive nature going into next week. The following week, it's going to get less and less volatile, violent. Okay, and eventually, just like it went to the first round and second round and the third round of tariff conversations, eventually the market in the next month and a half is going to go tone deaf, right? Tone deaf to any single headlines, and that's when everything starts going into back into organic. But yes, expect violence, expect ridiculous volatility. And the reason why I'm trading Tesla, well, it's my favorite stock. It's the greatest combination of average true range and liquidity. And when you're dealing with a spin cycle, number one, as soon as you put on your trade and it starts moving in your direction, use break even as your stop, because again, you're only one headline away from absolutely getting the fist. So, right. So we know that. So my advice, if you're a brand new trader, stay out the way. If you're an experienced trader, whatever your favorite stock is, trade that stock, wait for your channels to confirm. If you're an investor, look, this is a trading channel, man. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I empathize with you. I know Friday was an absolute whopper of a day. I get it, man. But what you could do is protect your portfolio. Short some SPY, short some Qs against your equity. At least you'll have some sort of safety net, some sort of insurance until the volatility dies down. But if you are a trader, Guys, we like average to range. Don't confuse average to range with volatility. Nobody likes volatility. Okay. Volatility is violent. Okay. Organic range is good. So let's see where we are, right? Let's see where we are Monday morning. All I can tell you guys who are brand new investors and brand new traders, unfortunately, again, some of the tweets I saw on social media was heartbreaking. Guys, it's only money. Some of you guys in your early 20s, it's only money. You're gonna recover. You're gonna recover. It sucks now. It feels like the end of the world. But I tell you, if you believe in a higher power and you believe that life kind of balance things out, it's just a matter of time that you're gonna forget about whatever, God forbid, happened. And the most important thing is you're gonna move on with your life. Life is all about challenges. Life is all about having the ability to bounce back. And unfortunately, if you got caught up in the spin cycle on Friday, yeah, it sucks. It does. Okay. My heart goes out to you on the professional level, but it's not that detrimental that the world is over. You'll bounce back. Have faith in God, have faith in your family and your friends and your relationships, and always remember the sun will shine again. Okay. And when it does, you'll be better for it. Guys, God bless everybody. Stay safe. And with God's help, I will see you all in the field come Monday morning. Take care.